as a black lesbian who Donald Trump doesn't believe has genes as good as his, is he going to attempt to exterminate me
why do you
when
believe
he gets
that, Aisha?
elected? Because he's damn near said it. That's why, David. That's why.
Because he's,
okay, and I'm not
has he
going to
said
be
that,
lectured by some white man who has no idea what he's talking about and is trying to rewrite history here.
Aisha,
I am
shame on you,
afraid,
Aisha.
as an American.
You may have seen this headline from NBC News. Here's the headline. It's pretty stark, so I warn you, you might not like what you see. Trump suggests immigrants have bad genes in latest disparagement of migrants. Latest disparagement of migrants. Trump suggests immigrants have bad genes. God, that does sound bad, doesn't it? Sounds like eugenics. Sounds like, pretty awful stuff. Why would Trump say that? That's horrible. That's terrible. Well, the good news is he didn't say that. That's your NBC News headline. Look at it again. I want it ingrained in your memory. Trump suggests immigrants have bad genes. Now, if you actually read the article from NBC News, you see what Trump actually said. They're talking about murderers. They're talking about illegal immigrants who we know, 13,000 of whom have been convicted of murder, another 13,000 convicted of sexual assault in their home country. We knew they had that on their record, and the Biden-Harris administration let them into our country, and lo and behold, they committed murder again. So Trump says in an interview, many of them murdered far more than one person, and they're now happily living in the United States. Now a murderer, I believe this, it's in their genes. Now, did Donald Trump just say that immigrants have bad genes? That's what the headline says. Trump suggests immigrants have bad genes. Did Trump say that immigrants have bad genes? Well, according to the article that headline accompanies, he says that murderers, that it's in the murderers' genes. But you know what? Let's not quibble, because why should we trust NBC News with anything at this point? Let's go right to the source. This was during an interview with our colleague Hugh Hewitt, who does the morning show on Salem News Channel and Salem Radio. An interview with Donald Trump. Here's what Donald Trump actually said.
She wants to go into government housing. She wants to go into government feeding. She wants to feed people. She wants to feed people governmentally. She wants to go into a communist party type system. When you look at the things that she proposes, they're so far off. She has no clue. How about allowing people to come to an open border, 13,000 of which were murderers? Many of them murdered far more than one person, and they're now happily living in the United States. Now a murderer, I believe this, it's in their genes, and we got a lot of bad genes in our country right now. They had 425,000 people come into our country that shouldn't be here, that are criminals.
All right, so that's what he actually said. The headline that you saw from NBC News is completely and totally fraudulent. Donald Trump in no way suggested that immigrants have bad genes. He was obviously talking about murderers. Now, listen, you can quarrel with the president's opinion. You may think, oh, no, it's not nature, it's nurture. I mean, this is something that has been debated for a couple of hundred years since the advent of modern psychology. Are people born with a proclivity for criminal behavior and horrible murderous behavior, or is it because of their environment and socialization and other factors? And is there just a black and white answer, or maybe there's a bell curve on this? We don't know. And actually, social scientists, and there's been plenty of studies into all of this, and it's still unanswered. He said, I believe, it's his opinion, that there is a genetic disposition for murderers. He could be wrong. I don't know. That's not the point. The point is he didn't say what they're claiming he said. But boy, that didn't stop CNN from putting this Looney Tune on the air. This woman in pink in the middle, her name is Aisha Mills. She's a Democrat operative. She was there as a surrogate for the Kamala Harris campaign. And she took that NBC News false headline. She took this narrative, and boy, did she run with it. I got to ask you at this point, what can they say about Donald Trump that they haven't already said over the course of the last 10 years? I mean, they've done everything. They've done everything that they can to drag this guy through the slime and the mud and disparage. I mean, and calling him Hitler is nothing new, because they've been doing it since the last time he won the presidency. And so you would think at this point, it's like, okay, let's not keep going to the Hitler card, because it obviously isn't working. But they can't help themselves. So I guess for the last 4 weeks of this campaign, we're back to the Trump is Hitler narrative. But the difference now is that we've got people like Dave Urban, who's also on this panel, and Scott Jennings, who's also on CNN. I have to say, for some reason, the two Republicans who show up on CNN are actually the best at this right now because they've had it. They're done with it. Okay, there's more important things going on in this country than to play these stupid games about Trump being Hitler. And so I want you to watch this. I want you to watch the odious talking points that Aisha Mills brings in here, and then relish in Dave Urban punching right back the way we all have to for the next 4 weeks. Enjoy this.
Listen, this isn't the first time we've heard this kind of talk from Donald Trump, and it reeks of authoritarianism. And it also harkens back to a time of Hitler, who used the same exact language that Donald Trump is now quoting to talk about the people who he thinks are poisoning the blood of the nation. You know, all of this smells like an affinity towards eugenics, which really should give us all pause. Because when we remember the last person, the last awful authoritarian dictator who believed in eugenics, it was someone who really wanted to exterminate an entire people because they thought that they didn't have good genes. And because
I think she's talking about Margaret Sanger, the person who dabbled in eugenics and created Planned Parenthood so that more babies from Black and impoverished communities would be aborted. Is that who she's talking about? The last person who utilized eugenics to try to exterminate an entire race? Was it racist Margaret Sanger who founded Planned Parenthood and used abortion for that very purpose? Oh, wait, maybe she's talking about somebody else. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, Aisha, finish up.
Because they were trying to create a certain type of race. Donald Trump has himself said that his parents, his father, raised him to believe that they were superior to others because they had good genes. Now, what does that mean? The way he's talking about it is he wants to purge the immigrants, right? He wants to get rid of all of the immigrants and has said that he would do some pretty nasty, harmful things to them because they don't have good genes. I don't think that this is just rhetoric. I think that we need to take this seriously and understand where his inspiration comes from. And today, of all days, it is just really savage that this is who he's quoting and that he's quoting Hitler.
Come on, Aaron. I don't want to swear.
David, I mean, is this rhetoric to say you believe in the racehorse theory about bloodlines?
Listen. Hey, Aaron, listen, I'm not going to sit here and put up with this. I am a very good guest normally. But to Aisha, for you to compare Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler on 10/7, it's just shameful. Number one, what he was talking about are murderers, people who came into this country and murdered Americans. Okay, so let's not try to string together a bunch of quotes that weren't put together. They're different points in time to try to make it look like something he didn't say. He was talking about 26,000 people, rapists and murderers in this country. And he said, in my opinion, and it's not just Donald Trump's opinion, there are scientific studies out there about nature or nurture, about murders, whether they have some sort of genetic predisposition to murder people. And he's talking about the people who murdered Americans, not eugenics, not some made up BS, Aisha. So listen, I'm sorry that Donald Trump feels like standing up for people who may have been murdered by immigrants and want to deport illegal immigrants who are here, criminal, violent aliens, and want to kick them out of our country to protect Americans. But that's okay in my case. He's not talking about eugenics. He's not going to compare him with Adolf Hitler today. I find it particularly offensive.
Listen, we can fact check, this all.
By the way, I just want to give you another clue here. I know that you guys are smart and you're plugged in on this stuff, but I look at it all day long for my job. And so it's sometimes you just see it and it's just so obvious and so blatant. And I want to make sure that you have a keen eye for it too. Look at the Chiron. Look at the Chiron. Trump. There are, quote, a lot of bad genes, unquote, among migrants in U.S. Yeah. You see this, right? You see what I see, right? So did Trump say there are a lot of bad genes among migrants in the U.S.? Well, no, he didn't. Do you know how I know he didn't say that? Because if he had said that, the quote would have been right before the word there and right after the word U.S. So they pull what he did say, a lot of bad genes, referring to the murderers here. And then they put other words that he didn't say around the quote. And then the low information CNN viewer, if there are any left, will see that and think, wow, I can't believe Trump said that. I need you to look out for this stuff and not fall for it and not freak out and say, oh, why does Trump keep saying these things? Remember how everybody was after the debate? Why does Trump do this? Why does Trump do this? Chill out, okay? Look at what they're doing. And it's going to get worse in the next 4 weeks, way worse. But look at that blatant attempt to literally put words in Donald Trump's mouth that he didn't say. Whenever there's only like 2 or 3 words in a sentence that are quoted, and then the entire sentence is attributed to somebody else, they are lying to you. And CNN is lying right here.
Day long. David's hot air is not going to rewrite the history of the words that Donald Trump himself has used. This is fact. He has
read the words he said today.
Genetics. Well, I'm talking about the history of everything he's ever said. So you can have a short-term memory, David, for the sake of going into an election and doing Donald Trump's bidding. But this, as an American,
let's talk about Kamala
makes
Harris.
me really concerned.
Let's talk about Kamala Harris
as a black lesbian who Donald Trump doesn't believe has genes as good as his. Is he going to attempt to exterminate me
why do you
when
believe
he gets elected? Because he's damn near said it. That's why, David. That's why.
Do you like that? I'm a black lesbian and Donald Trump doesn't think my genes are as good as his. Really? Why do you think that? Because he damn near said it. Damn near. Damn near is the new block quotes inside of a longer sentence. This is pathetic. But look at David Urban not backing down. She's playing the lesbian card. She's playing the black card. She's playing the woman card. And David Urban said, you know what? I'm done. I'm so freaking done with all of this. And good for him. That's the only way. They are trying to bully him. They are trying to bully you. They are so desperate. Listen, I know I sound angry right now. I am passionate about this. But I am thrilled that this is where they are 4 weeks out. I am thrilled that this is what they're reduced to. Don't you see that he's Hitler? Don't you see that he's Hitler? You've been telling me he's Hitler for 10 years. You know how I know he's not Hitler? Because he's not Hitler. That's how I know he's not Hitler. And this is where they are. They're so desperate, and it's going to continue. You got to be ready for it, but you got to be Dave Urban. You need to punch back. They're trying to bully you. They're trying to intimidate you. They're trying to push you around and keep you from supporting or voting for this man. And they play every emotional card that they can, and you cannot let it work. You've got to be Dave Urban. Don't shave your head. You don't need to do that. You can't carry it off and be a sexy beast like Dave Urban. But other than that, you got to do what he's doing.
Because
and I'm not going to be lectured by some white man who has no idea what he's talking about and is trying to rewrite history here.
Aisha,
I am
shame on you,
afraid,
Aisha.
as an American,
Aaron,
of a Donald Trump presidency and his actual quotes
shame
are
on you,
why.
Aisha.
Because I take him seriously, and I think that he believes what he says, and that is why he is a danger and a threat to America.
Aaron, you can't have a rational discussion.
I appreciate
about topics.
Yeah, he's right. You can't have a rational thought. And you saw then she turned on him. She turned on him and went after him. And he said, I'm not even going to have this conversation with you because you're a white man, which, by the way, is racist. All right. So that's cathartic. And it's great to see Dave Urban do that. And it's great to expose Aisha Mills and CNN for who they are. But there's actually another clip of this woman that is frankly even more important, more telling, and more damning of CNN. Because this show right here occurred 1 hour before the Aaron Burnett show you just saw. Was it 1 hour or earlier in the evening? Let's just say. They had Aisha Mills on again to talk about the exact same thing. So when she came on Aaron Burnett's show, they knew what she was going to say. CNN had already screened it on their own network. Here she is, earlier in the evening on the same topic.
That we have long known that Donald Trump has revered the Nazis. He has revered Hitler. He's read his book. He used to say he had it on his nightstand. Donald Trump has had a very sinister philosophy, wanting to be a dictator, absolutely dividing people up based on who they are, based on factors about them that have to do with their race and their gender, etc. And when he uses language like this, I don't think that it's a Freudian slip. I think that the danger of a Donald Trump is that he would absolutely to exterminate an entire group of people because he thinks that their genes are somehow different than his and faulty. And I say this with all the sternness that you hear in my voice because it is serious and Americans should recognize that.
So earlier in the evening, Aisha Mills comes on CNN and says that Donald Trump would exterminate an entire group of people. And CNN says, that's great stuff. Come on back later in the evening and say it in prime time. CNN knew exactly what she was going to say, knew exactly what her position was, knew exactly what her thoughts were. And they decided, yeah, that's who we are. That's our brand. Come on back. And in fact, we'll put you on the air with Dave Urban so you can point it right at him and go after him on it. And we're going to get exactly what we want on this program. Two people screaming about the level of Nazism that is currently present in the Republican Party. The difference is David Urban didn't take the bait. He didn't fall into the trap and say, oh, we're not really Nazis. No, that's not how you do. I'm not a Nazi. I'm not Hitler. No, the way you respond to this is say, who the F do you think you are? Shame on you. You're disgusting. You're despicable for even injecting this kind of lie into this conversation. And we've had enough of it. See, they want you to get back on your heels and be defensive and say, no, I don't believe that. I'm not Hitler. As soon as people have to start saying, I'm not Hitler, they've lost. And they know that. And that's what they want. The only proper, right? And damn CNN for going out of their way, knowing what she was going to say, and then booking her again in the evening in prime time. To hell with CNN for doing that. They got exactly what they wanted. They got this woman to go off on this eugenics, genetics, Nazi extermination of an entire race kind of diatribe. They were counting on it. They were banking on it. And the only appropriate response when somebody says that to you is to look at them and say, you are despicable. You're beneath contempt, and you're not even worthy of a response from me. I'm done talking to you about this. And then go with God. I'll pray for you.